Now that most users should have the basics covered and be gaming away, I wanted to take a look at getting a little more advanced. First, let's take a look at updating RetroArch for those who want to. When I started doing the videos, RetroArch was on version 1.7.3. You can check what version you're on by launching RetroArch and taking a look in the left-hand corner. As noted here, we are still on 1.7.3. Recently, they have updated to 1.7.4. I had first updated on my regular PC following the video posted here by the developers on Broken Software. Doing it this way caused some of my menu icons to become black blocks. Thus, I decided to try going to the same folder as in the video again and just copy the executables over from the zip here. That didn't seem to go well either. I thought that perhaps it was just a fluke with my other PC about the icon issue, and so I followed the video that I've referenced before again. This resulted in the same black box icon issue that I had on my other PC. I ended up just starting over. Let's go back to RetroArch's site here, and like before, grab the download 64-bit link to keep it portable. Now, before we start dumping and replacing things, we will want to copy over the system folder to our desktop. If we have any arcade or console BIOS files, they will be in the system folder. Then, copy over the config folder to back up any custom controller mappings you've done. Once this is done, we can get rid of everything in the RetroArch folder here. Now, we can drag the new version over just like before. Once over, I would open your new and old system folders and snap them side by side. Then, drag all of your BIOS files over into this new folder. For me, there does not seem to be a config folder, so we can just drag the whole folder over to restore our custom controller configurations. Now, when we launch RetroArch again, in the same corner as before, it'll show that we have the updated version. Then, you can go and download your cores again. As long as you download the same cores as before, doing it this way should not affect your LaunchBox installation, and everything should launch fine. Next, MAME can be a little tricky, especially for new users. If you already have some MAME games from the stock front end, and you want to keep using them, you will need to use the 0.185 version of MAME. You can do this in LaunchBox by downloading the older matching 64-bit application on the old release section of MAME's website, and then, just as in my other video, add it to the Manage Emulator screen. However, if you want to use your RetroArch core and are unsure of what to do, you can go into RetroArch and download one of the MAME arcade cores. Then, if you go to Load Core and load the MAME core, in the corner here, you can see what ROM set you'll need to hunt down to properly use the MAME core you've downloaded. Next, some console games, like Sega CD, need BIOS files to run correctly. However, there are different versions of the BIOS floating around. To find what one you will need to work with your preferred system Sega core, like MAME, you can load the core and then go to the info screen. If we scroll down here, we can see that Genesis Plus GX requires BIOS_CD_EU and or J to play those region CD games, and that they are also currently missing from our system directory. Now that we have RetroArch updated and our BIOS set, I believe a user or two asked about save states. Out of the box, you will need a keyboard to save and load states. However, if we open up RetroArch and go to the Configure cogwheel here, we can go to Input and select Input Hotkey Binds. We can then set up some controller bindings. First, we have to set up the button to enable the hotkeys. I ended up choosing the Select button. Then, we can bind both load and save state to a button. Here, I set up LB to load and RB to save. Now, holding select and pressing the corresponding hotkey will save and load states. You could also bind the state plus and state minus commands. This way, you could save and load multiple states. Once that is done, I was going down to configuration here and making sure that it was set to save on exit. This way, once we exit RetroArch, our configuration will be all set for future sessions. Now, back in LaunchBox here, we can load Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for a moment. Then we can test and see that loading and saving states now works using our controller. Next, I wanted to take a quick look at a new feature in LaunchBox. Starting with version 8.7 here. If you have a premium license, there is a new feature to change skins within the LaunchBox interface. LaunchBox developer Unbroken Software did a quick video about it, but I figured while I was updating things, I would install a new theme for my setup here. I also ended up liking the Back to the 80s theme that was not up at the time their video was made, so I thought I would take a look at it. If you'd like to see the video they did, you can head over to their YouTube page here and take a look. We can use the link in the description of their video to take a look at the themes currently available at the moment. To be able to use these, again, you will first need a big box premium license, and then to be able to download the themes, you will also need to register at the LaunchBox community forums. Once we are all set and have a theme downloaded, we will need to navigate to our LaunchBox install directory and then into the LB themes folder. Once we drag our theme into this folder, we will want to open LaunchBox, select Options, go to Visuals, and then click the drop down to select our new theme. Once selected, we will have to click OK and then reopen LaunchBox for our new theme to apply. The only downside at the moment seems to be that with a new theme installed, we lose our game backgrounds. So when we select different games, we still have the static theme background. I do like the new home icon for the menu over the prior 3 bars. Next, let's take a look at combining similar ROMs to keep our LaunchBox library clean. LaunchBox has a built-in way to detect and combine ROMs based on file names. However, sometimes it can miss a few. In the case of Knuckles in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or Sonic the Hedgehog 3 here, since it is a more popular title, it has its own artwork. However, when importing a full system ROM set, you will likely have beta versions, revisions, and other region copies of the same title. LaunchBox may or may not auto-combine these depending on the title name. Then, you either might not know where a game went or have multiple copies of the same game listed. All we need to do is to hold down the Control key on a keyboard and then go around and select the games we want to combine. Once they are selected, we can right-click and then select Combine. LaunchBox will then ask what game we want to have loaded when we double-click the artwork. To get the combined game below the top click to load, we just need to right-click and then left-click on the alternate version that we want to launch. Now, I would like to tackle some slightly more advanced PC gaming. First, taking a look at streaming Steam games from another PC to the replay. Let's open Steam here. We will need to be signed into the same Steam account on both our main PC that will be doing the streaming and the replay. They also will need to be on the same network. Once signed in here, we're going to want to go to where it says Steam in the top left corner, click Settings, and then go down to in-home streaming. When we get there, you should see the name of the other machine. I have already connected mine, but if you click to connect, Steam will display a pairing code on the computer. Once the code is entered to pair the PC with the replay, you will then be asked to install a driver so that you can stream the audio. After installation is complete, we will be good to go. Now, as shown here, Steam mentions that we can stream flashing lights from another more powerful PC. It did take a moment for the game to load, but when running on the replay natively, I could barely get to the officer select screen here. Now, as you can see, we are doing some driving around in the game with the lights and sirens on. Lastly, before I end the video here, I would like to take a look at Steam's more console-like UI called Big Picture Mode. This allows us to natively use a controller to navigate and launch games. We can also filter down to games that are only installed locally on the replay or games that completely allow the use of a controller. Big Picture Mode also has Sony and Nintendo controller support that you can enable in the settings menu. Before I bid you happy gaming, I would also like to mention that updating the Intel HD graphics driver that I've done in a previous video seems to have fixed the no audio issue I had originally had when testing BitTrip Presenter Runner 2. I would imagine it could have fixed some other affected games as well. After following this and the other prior videos on the channel, I hope that the vast majority of gamers will be able to play most games. If anyone has any other issues, as always, please feel free to leave a comment, join the community forum, or head over to the Discord. I realize that it's been a bit of a bumpy ride for some, but it is my honest end goal to get a game to play in front of as many people as possible. It makes me happy to see people getting to enjoy the classics, relive the memories, make new ones, realize how important digital preservation is, and that some console-only gamers are getting to try PC games for the first time. Thanks to everyone who has stuck with it, as well as everyone who's been kind enough to subscribe. I've not forgotten about taking a look at light guns. It's on my list here. I would also like to do some gameplay with a few games to see what kind of FPS we can get out of some locally installed games. But I wanted to make sure that I got this out first to get some of the basics and more advanced things covered so people can enjoy the system. Until next time, happy gaming.